World War III has never been closer than it is right now. I was the only president in nearly 4 decades who did not get America into any new conflicts. Instead, I brought our troops and our wonderful children back home. No mass, everything, you can do all you want, but you still need help from the boss.
The American presidential race is in full swing, with former President Donald Trump campaigning for a second term. Trump emphasizes his faith in God and commitment to prioritizing America's prosperity. However, his recent warnings on voting have sparked a debate about the role of fear and division in politics. While some view these warnings as divisive and unnecessary, others see them as justified, given the country's current state. Regardless of one's opinion, it remains to be seen what impact these warnings will have on Trump's chances of re-election in the presidential race. Join us as we delve into Donald Trump's terrifying warnings to everyone. The warnings of Trump. Donald Trump, the former president of the United States, has issued warnings to various groups of people since announcing his candidacy for the 2024 presidential election. In particular, he has warned Americans about the state of the economy, the threat of crime, and what he sees as the potential dangers of allowing his political opponents to remain in power. He has also warned about the possibility of violence and the need for Americans to be prepared for potential unrest. His warnings, however, have been met with both support and opposition and have sparked debates about the state of American politics. The former president's warnings have also sparked discussion about the role of fear and division in politics. Some commentators have pointed out that Trump's rhetoric has historically been divisive and focused on stoking fear, and that his warnings seem to be part of a broader strategy of stoking divisions in the country. Meanwhile, others have argued that his warnings are necessary and justified given the country's state and its threats. It remains to be seen how effective Trump's warnings will be in winning over voters, and whether his approach will help or harm the country in the long run. Trump's "Make America Great Again" slogan in the 2016 campaign struck a chord and resonated with many Americans who yearned for a return to what they saw as a more religious and prosperous past. His emphasis on the importance of faith in God as a driver of national success reflected his views and resonated with many who felt similarly. This message helped to solidify Trump's support among those who saw religion as a key aspect of American life and who felt that America had drifted away from those values in recent years. Donald Trump's strategy for winning the 2024 election includes appealing to Christian and non-Christian voters. His message of faith in God has been a powerful tool for connecting with evangelical voters. He has actively worked to earn the support of religious leaders and organizations. And it will be interesting to see how Trump's campaign message evolves as the election gets closer and how it resonates with different population segments. Despite Trump's controversial image, he has a strong following among religious and conservative voters. Some see him as a defender of Christian values, while others see him as divisive and polarizing. Trump's belief in God and recent warnings about America may make people panic. However, it is difficult to say how much this will affect the election outcome. Many other factors could influence the election, such as the economy, foreign policy, and the issues that voters care about. Nonetheless, Trump has warned Americans who don't believe in God, saying that faith has been an important part of America's success. While America is relatively young, it has become the most powerful country in many fields, partly thanks to its faith. Hence, faith has played a role in the country's prosperity and success. Trump's notion on faith. According to Trump, faith has been a fundamental element of American society since its founding and is an important factor in its success. Trump points to the Bible as a source of inspiration for the Founding Fathers and the basis for the Constitution. He suggests faith has helped America thrive and achieve its leading status worldwide. His argument indicates that faith is key to America's strength and success. Trump praised the role of faith in American society, saying it provides comfort, strength, and encouragement. He He points to examples like hospitals, elderly care homes, and orphanages as faith-based organizations providing valuable services. It appears that Trump views faith as a vital part of the fabric of American society and an important force for good in the world. He attributes the success of the United States to the strength of its faith, but he believes that the Bible has been a guiding force in shaping American laws, values, and solutions to social problems. He argues that the U.S. Constitution was founded on biblical principles and is a key reason for the nation's success. While some have praised Trump's embrace of faith as a strength of his presidency, others have criticized it as being divisive or unrepresentative of all Americans. He further emphasizes that faith-based organizations often serve people experiencing poverty with love and compassion, and he vows to protect religious liberty, noting that his faith has guided him throughout his presidency. He also rejects the beliefs of those who don't share his own religious beliefs, saying they cannot find enlightenment without faith in God. He claims his success is due to his faith and calls on Christians to support him. His remarks emphasize the importance of faith in his life and political career. Donald Trump praised the contributions of people of faith in building hospitals, caring for the sick, and supporting charity. On the National Day of Prayer, he emphasized the positive impact of faith on American society. He views faith as a source of personal strength and a catalyst for good deeds and social improvement. However, Trump does not show support for those who deny or reject God, believing that they will not find enlightenment. This view has sparked debate over whether or not it is divisive and whether it reflects the country's diversity. Nonetheless, some Christians believe that Trump's presidency was prophesied by divine intervention and that God chose him to lead the country. They point to the 2016 election as a sign of this prophecy coming true, and some believe it will happen again in 2024. Some view Trump's view that faith in God is essential for national success is exclusionary and incompatible with religious tolerance. Critics argue that a national leader should respect various religious views rather than favor one faith. But despite this criticism, Trump does not waver in his belief in the importance of faith. He sees Christians as an important constituency and promises to protect them and their rights through his policies. This reflects both his convictions and the role of religious voters in American politics. Trump has cultivated a close relationship with the evangelical community, which is a key part of his support base. While some have questioned the sincerity of Trump's faith, others see it as a sincere commitment to his beliefs. Regardless of personal beliefs, Trump's relationship with the religious community is undeniable. Evangelical Christians have been a key constituency for Trump, and he urges them to get out and vote. He warns that if they do not vote, it could lead to the loss of all the gains they have made under his presidency. This highlights the importance of the evangelical vote for Trump and the need for him to maintain their support. Trump warns that if his supporters don't vote, the country will suffer, and their rights may be lost. He claims that no one else will protect them the way he has. This attempts to galvanize his base by emphasizing the potential consequences of not voting for him. It highlights the importance of political action and engagement for Trump's evangelical supporters. It also suggests that he views himself as a protector of Christians in America. Donald Trump believes that God has been and will continue to support him in his political endeavors. He warns that Christians may face violence if they do not support him. In addition, Trump has openly talked about his faith and believes it is an important part of his identity. He believes a moral order exists, and faith in God is essential to finding meaning and happiness. He argues that faith in God is not simply about religion, but about morality, and can be found in all aspects of life. In his way, Trump doesn't want to blame God for his mistakes, but instead wants to take responsibility for his actions. This suggests that he believes in individual accountability and self-reflection, rather than relying solely on divine forgiveness. At the same time, he still sees faith as an important part of life and hopes it will guide him towards a better path. This suggests a nuanced approach to faith that values personal accountability and divine guidance. Would Trump's message resonate with his evangelical base? Only God can tell. Trump, as the Messiah, In a viral video, Trump presents himself as an almost messianic figure sent to save America. He claims that God made him to be a caretaker for the country. The video is religious and mystical, with Trump speaking grandiosely about his divine mission. The video, shared by Trump on social media, portrays him as a divine figure who will save America from its troubles. While the video does not address specific policy issues, it reflects Trump's belief in his importance and ability to lead the country. Interestingly, this portrayal focuses not on Trump's political achievements or policy positions, but on his perceived role as a savior. Some people, however, have criticized the video as exploitative and inappropriate. The video highlights Trump's appeal to religious voters and his use of religious imagery to promote himself. In addition, a fan-made video was shared that paints Trump as a messianic figure sent by God to save the country. The video claims that God created Trump to fight Marxists and the fake news. The video's grandiose and egotistical narrative presents Trump as a divinely chosen savior. It is the notion, however, that the video is meant to boost Trump's image and appeal to religious voters. The video was found to be overly self-aggrandizing and inappropriate. The video portrayed Trump as a divine emissary sent by God to save America. It featured Trump in a religious messianic light and referred to a 1946 sermon that said, "God chose a caretaker to protect his planned paradise." The video's message was meant to suggest that Trump is a divinely chosen leader who will restore America to greatness. This type of religious rhetoric is not uncommon in politics, but it can be controversial and alienating to some people. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's view and affirmation of the message suggest that he agrees with the characterization. The message suggests that Trump believes he is uniquely qualified to lead the country and that God has destined him for greatness. The message also emphasizes the importance of faith in God and suggests that Trump's election is part of a divine plan, and that hence Trump described himself as a defender of religious freedom and thereby promised to protect Christians from what he sees as persecution. Many Christians believe that Trump will win the 2024 election. Some claim that a prophecy in the 1980s foretold this outcome. While some see this prophecy as confirmation of God's support for Trump, others remain skeptical. It is worth noting that prophecies about political outcomes are notoriously difficult to verify and should be taken with a grain of salt. Over the years, Donald Trump has enjoyed strong support from evangelical Christians, despite not having a personal history of deep religious faith. Polls have shown that many evangelical Christians believe that God chose Trump to lead the country. This suggests that Trump's appeal to religious voters is based on his perceived ability to advance their interests rather than on shared spiritual values. The fact that many evangelicals believe in Trump's divine anointment shows the influence of religion in American politics. Also, Trump's willingness to share the video suggests that he sees himself as the divinely chosen figure that it portrays him as. The video makes grandiose and unrealistic claims about Trump's character and abilities. It also needs to be clarified what the reference to delivering his grandchild means, as Trump's grandchildren were born to his children, not to Trump himself. The video is designed to make Trump look larger than life, but the effect may be more comical than awe-inspiring. On a good note, many Christians support Trump's candidacy in 2024, and some see it as a divinely ordained outcome. Trump himself sees his role as president as having a divinely ordained purpose, and warns of potential violence against Christians if he is not re-elected. He views the support of evangelical leaders as critical to his success, since they can influence large numbers of people to vote. This places significant responsibility on evangelical leaders to use their influence wisely and ethically, while also putting pressure on them to align themselves with a particular political agenda. In general, the messianic figure is designed to appeal to religious Americans because not all Americans share the same religious beliefs. Recognizing that America is a diverse country with people of different faiths and backgrounds is important. Religious imagery can be a powerful tool for political messaging, but it is only sometimes applicable. What do you think about Trump's use of religion in his campaign? Issues with his pronouncement of re-election. From the beginning, Trump's November 2022 announcement of his candidacy for president was filled with inaccurate claims and exaggerations. His first inaccurate claim came within 2 minutes of his speech, and he continued to make false statements throughout the hour. It is unclear if Trump was deliberately trying to mislead people or if he simply did not check the accuracy of his claims. Either way, the prevalence of inaccuracies in his speech raises questions about his commitment to truth and accuracy. Donald Trump's central theme for his 2024 presidential campaign is retribution, saying that he will fight for those wronged and betrayed and be a force for justice and revenge. This theme reflects a darker, more vindictive tone than his 2016 campaign, which focused on making America great again. It remains to be seen whether this theme will resonate with voters or alienate them. Trump has referred to the 2024 election as the final battle, suggesting it is a last chance to win back power. He openly promised to use the power of the presidency for political reprisals against those who had wronged him. Trump's aides reportedly planned and approved the sinister tone of the campaign theme and are actively promoting it on social media. The use of such rhetoric has been raising concerns about the potential for unrest and violence if Trump loses the election. While some Republican officials have quickly endorsed Trump's candidacy, others have been more reluctant. Some, like Bill Barr and Mitt Romney, have even stated their opposition to Trump's candidacy. This shows a split in the Republican Party, with some still loyal to Trump and others looking to move on. It remains to be seen whether Trump will be able to rally enough support to win the nomination or if the division within the party will weaken his chances. Fortunately, however, as of January 2024, Trump has received endorsements from around 60% of Republican House members and nearly 60% of Republican senators. This shows that Trump has significant support within the Republican Party, but not a full majority. The remaining 40–50% of Republican members of Congress have not endorsed Trump, which could indicate a lack of confidence in his candidacy or a desire to keep their options open. Trump's 2024 campaign is characterized by fear-mongering regarding what he claims to fear and what he claims his supporters should fear. He suggests that radical action is required to overcome his identified fears. He ended his speech by promising to obliterate the deep state and appoint a special prosecutor to go after Biden and his family. This is seen as further evidence of Trump's manipulative rhetoric and his desire to use the power of the presidency for political gain. Trump ended his speech with an authoritarian-sounding declaration that only he can save the nation, using the French phrase "L'État, c'est moi," which means "I am the state." A reference to the absolute power of the monarchy in France suggests that Trump sees himself as the embodiment of the United States government. This comment has raised concerns about Trump's intentions and his view of the role of the president in the United States. Some view it as an inspiring call to action, while others view it as an alarming declaration of dictatorship. Campaign and primary election. Even though Trump's campaign platform has included increasing the power of the federal government, particularly the executive branch, and has expressed support for Project 2025, which proposes returning to a spoil system for government appointments and also proposes using the Insurrection Act to deploy the military to American streets and directing the DOJ to target his political opponents. The proposals have raised concerns about the expansion of executive power and the potential for abuse of power. Nevertheless, national polls have indicated Trump to be the front-runner for the Republican presidential nomination in 2024, with a 50-point lead over his closest competitors. Following his landslide victory in the Iowa Republican caucuses, the media has generally described Trump as the presumptive nominee. This indicated that the Republican Party had coalesced around Trump as its candidate for the 2024 presidential election. The Democratic Party has not yet settled on a nominee for the 2024 presidential election. Donald Trump has won the New Hampshire Republican primary, a state he previously won in 2016 and 2020. Nikki Haley, a former U.S. ambassador to the UN, was Trump's only opponent in the primary, but he still won overwhelmingly. This victory signifies Trump's continued strength and popularity among Republican voters. Trump won the New Hampshire primary with 54.5% of the vote, while Nikki Haley received 43.2%. Trump's victory makes him the strong favorite to win the Republican nomination for president in 2024. Trump's speech after the New Hampshire primary differed greatly from his speech after the Iowa caucus. In New Hampshire, Trump called for his supporters to unite against Democrats and opponents. The speech was more similar to Trump's typical style, with no filters or decorum, with some believing that Trump's aggressive style could alienate some voters and cost him the election. Others, nonetheless, believe that his no-holds-barred style is part of his appeal. He has faced criticism for his divisive rhetoric and policies in the past, but he has always remained popular with his base. Trump's victory in New Hampshire indicates he remains a formidable candidate in the upcoming presidential election. On January 28, 2023, Donald Trump held campaign events in South Carolina and New Hampshire, and on March 4, 2023, he gave a keynote speech at the CPAC convention, where he promised to seek retribution for his opponents and claimed he could prevent World War III. Nikki Haley, a potential Republican presidential candidate, was also in attendance at CPAC, while other potential candidates such as Mike Pence and Ron DeSantis were not in attendance. Trump's speech was widely covered in the media and sparked discussion about his political approach and ability to win the Republican nomination. While some commentators praised Trump's speech as passionate and energizing, others criticized it as overly negative and divisive. On March 25, 2023, Trump held a rally in Waco, Texas, to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the Waco siege. Notably, the rally opened with a rendition of the song "Justice for All," performed by a choir of men convicted for their role in the January 6, 2021, attack on the Capitol. On April 30th, Trump suggested he was not interested in debating other Republican candidates, at least not until later in the year. Some observers see this as a sign that Trump feels confident about his chances of winning the Republican nomination. On May 10, 2023, Donald Trump participated in a CNN town hall in New Hampshire, where he took credit for overturning Roe v. Wade and expressed support for defaulting on the national debt. He also repeated his false claims that the 2020 election was stolen and suggested pardoning those convicted for their role in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. While some Republican voters may have been pleased with Trump's stances, others have criticized his comments on the national debt and the election and questioned his judgment on pardons. Trump's proposed platform calls for a significant expansion of presidential powers and a significant increase in the executive branch's power. This includes replacing career civil servants with political appointees, using the military for domestic law enforcement, and using the military to deport immigrants. Critics of this platform argue that it would violate the Constitution and create an authoritarian presidency. Some believe that Trump's policies could lead to increased government corruption and abuse of power. Also, Trump has said that the U.S. economy is fragile and dependent on policies enacted during his administration. He compared himself to Herbert Hoover, president during the beginning of the Great Depression. Some economists argue that the current economic situation is not as dire as Trump claims and that his comparison to Hoover is inaccurate. Others argue that Trump's comments could contribute to economic uncertainty and volatility. Furthermore, Trump has reiterated his isolationist America First foreign policy agenda in his 2024 campaign. He has proposed ending the war in Ukraine in 24 hours by asking the Europeans to reimburse the U.S. for its support of Ukraine and giving parts of the country to Russia. He also criticized the cost of U.S. aid to Ukraine and suggested that he could have prevented the war. Some experts have criticized Trump's approach, arguing that it is unrealistic and would destabilize Europe, while others have praised his focus on prioritizing U.S. interests. Those in power need to have a moral compass because they could cause great harm if they do not. Upon suggestion, the order and structure of the universe are evidence of a higher intelligence, and that this intelligence must be good, as it has created a universe with moral laws. This line of reasoning suggests that faith in a higher power is important for personal fulfillment and maintaining order and justice in the world. Several things, including the human soul, intelligence, and art, could not have come without a higher power. It is suggested that these things are too complex and beautiful to have come about through random chance and must have been created by a higher intelligence. On this note, Trump must draw on higher intelligence to make wise decisions, and all humans must do the same. Hence, faith in God is important as a source of wisdom and guidance. Faith in God can be justified through Jesus' teachings and personal experiences of prayer and faith. However, it is acknowledged that some people have sincere faith and have not seen their prayers answered, which is a common criticism of faith. Trump, however, remains convinced that the gospel is true and works, and that he has personally seen the results of prayer. With this, he continues to work on his political assignment to fulfill his divine purpose. His hard work, confidence, and power show he is hopeful and faithful to God in winning the 2024 presidential election in America against his major opponent and current state president, Joe Biden. Will Donald Trump win the 2024 presidential election? Is he truly the Messiah of the people of America, as portrayed by him and as revealed? Kindly share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Thank you for watching. While you are still here, kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more intriguing videos like this. Share your thoughts and views with us too in the comment section. See you soon.